When you tell me you don't love America anymore, I'm literally like, you should leave.
Seeing people protesting for pro-communism, socialism, and then when queried, like, hey, what makes you think that? There's like no substance.
It's easy to talk about things when you've never left the country.
Right.
Or you've never been to any of these countries, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to Cuba. I've been to other communist countries. I've been in many third world countries. My father was, I would say, kicked out of his home country because of a communistic dictator.
Whenever I speak to someone who says, I'm a democratic socialist, I say, first of all, it's like a jumbo shrimp. What are you talking about?
Chai tea.
Chai tea, exactly.
As a business owner, I mean, I lead with my masculine.
Sure.
I have to be very commanding. I have to be decisive. I'm not wishy-washy. I sometimes have to fire people. I have to do things that, aren't popular, but that's what's required to have a profitable business so I can pay my team.
We keep doing this. What happens to our men?
Yeah.
If they can't be men, what happens to them? We want to feminize everything. What happens to them, our own men, our sons?
Hello, and welcome to Real Aware Women, otherwise known as RAW. I am Wendy Lieber, and here with my two amazing, incredible, fabulous co-hosts, Patel and Jane Bolin.
Hello, hello. All right.
What's going on,
Like,
ladies?
hey, after that intro. A lot of good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a great couple weeks.
Yep. Well, we did
And busy.
a remote episode recently.
Yeah, we
We'll
did.
see what happens with that. Hence, we don't know what episode we're on, so
It's all right. You can see it in the notes.
Exactly. So I wanted to talk about, kind of what I've been seeing going on social media, just, in the collective. I'm seeing a lot of people be very pro-communism, socialism. I was at dinner last night with a friend, and we were talking. She's from New York. She lives here now. And we were talking about, she was talking about how Mamdani,
You said it right.
my pronunciation's always off. Her view making a mess of New York, and her niece, who's in her mid-20s, was saying, socialism, could work. And her response was, well, tell me more. Tell me more about that. And then it was like complete shutdown. Didn't really know, why she thought that. Was just kind of picking up on, I think, things that she has heard. And that's a lot of what I'm seeing. I'm seeing people protesting for pro-communism, socialism, and then when queried, like, hey, what makes you think that? There's like no substance.
For sure.
So I wanted to start with our distiller of simplicity. Why don't we break down some of these terms that get used kind of so broadly where, what do they really mean?
So let's start first with, we live in a democratic republic. So that means we have a constitution and that we elect people to actually represent us, right? So that's the first thing. I think when you're looking at any of those terms, it's like, well, who's in power? So that's the first thing, democratic republic, right? Then you look at socialism, which could be authoritarian, or it could be just a government, right? It could be one person or just a government. That's who's in power. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Communism, generally one person in power, right? But then you look at who owns the resources, who runs the resources, and you've got to say to yourself, that's really what this is about. So democratic republic, we believe in capitalism, free markets, the ability for people to buy and receive what they need and to create, right? And in a socialist environment, the government runs the resources. This is very simple. I hope everyone can hear this. So your utilities, your major industries will be run by the same government that you make fun of when you watch Parks and Rec and DMV. So put that together, right? Like we're saying So whenever I speak to someone who says, I'm a democratic socialist, I say, first of all, it's like a jumbo shrimp. What are you talking about?
Chai tea.
Chai tea, exactly. You're like, what do they mean by that? Well, it's a bit of an oxymoron. And so I really want to say, what are you looking at? What bothers you? Oh, you don't like capitalism. Why don't you like capitalism? Oh, because we don't have equity amongst people. There's not a distribution of wealth. Yeah, I get that. Okay, cool. I'm totally on board for a conversation for how do we make things more affordable? How do we recreate what we're doing? But to throw the baby out with the bathwater, like, you know what, guys? Forget this American experiment. We're just going to throw it all out and become communist or socialist is insane.
Right.
So, I get it, but you can even see in the Florida Democratic Party, we just had a primary on Tuesday. So Angie Nixon won by 200,000 votes as a Democratic socialist. She will be running against Ashley Moody. Scares me that there's 200,000 people in the Democratic Party that think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But I think it also speaks to what you're saying, is when people want change, it feels like it's so radical versus are we really looking at what's the big picture? Do you really want to blow up America? Because if you go down to South Florida and you talk to the Venezuelans, they're not going to say, you know what, we want a socialist government again. No. And Cubans aren't saying that. And, frankly, North Koreans aren't saying that either because they don't have a voice. So, you got to look at all these parts. So when you just distill it down, who has power, who controls the resources, and then ultimately, as Americans, what does individual liberty mean?
No doubt.
Yeah.
Because it's really all about liberty, individual liberty. So
Yeah.
that would be my take on it.
Yeah, I feel like what comes up a lot, and it's not to generalize younger people, but I'm going to generalize younger people for a minute, is they want a sense of fairness. Like they want the government to take care of its people, which sounds good in theory until you actually start to distill, well, what does that actually look like?
Sure thing. I've also noticed that, it's easy to talk about things when you've never left the country.
Right.
Or you've never been to any of these countries,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to Cuba. I've been to other communist countries. I've been in many third world countries. My father was, I would say, kicked out of his home country because of a communistic dictator. So I could go on and on about my experiences and what I feel is out there. And that's a big discrepancy from what I feel people are aware of if they've only been here or they're thinking that they can find it on YouTube. We can find a lot of great things on YouTube, but the experience doesn't cut it, right? So looking at what happened to anybody that was under some form of dictatorship or communistic leadership, communist leadership.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, how are they living? What was their lifestyle? How far were they sovereign, independent? Were they able to build their own businesses? Were they able to flourish and thrive? Yeah. So there's that side of it, right? Then I could say, hey, I grew up in Canada. It's not so bad compared to all these other countries I'm listing right now. And in a socialist country, how did that look? Well, if I injured myself playing soccer, I had to wait 6 months to get like an MRI at the least, for example, example. Healthcare was free, but how free was it? Because how much do you pay in your taxes?
Right.
How much does the system get so abused that it's like flushing funds down the toilet constantly? So there are a lot of other aspects to look at that I don't feel are talked about at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm laughing about that, how the system's abused, because I don't think anyone watching this show hasn't made a joke about government and its inefficiency.
Sure.
And to think that we want government to run private enterprise is amazingly crazy.
Totally.
Right? Like when I heard about government-run supermarkets, I was like, what are you talking
what
about?
What a joke.
That's not even possible. And we wouldn't, Americans, we wouldn't have what we want. And this is something that's just coming to me right now. So 250 years, right? We had our episode on 250 years. That's a really short amount of time.
Yeah.
Sure is.
So this is an experiment, and I'm not saying things aren't exactly on track. I get it. Affordability is the #1 issue in every political campaign across America. Gas prices matter. Food matters.
Sure.
I get it. But the conversation should be about that and what policies have we had and what's the history been versus let's just wipe this whole thing out. And you know what? If I have it, I'm going to give it to you, which is exactly, I think you and I talked about this, right?
Yeah.
Right. What does it look like to actually, if you run an ice cream stand and you're in America and it's capitalistic, you get to take your money from an ice cream stand. But if you're 10 years old and you're in a socialist country, you're going to give that $10 to the government. They're going to decide where it goes. Like, just put that in perspective, right? I know, but we do need to break it down like that because people don't think it that way.
I think what it feels like is people think about it very broadly, and they think about these big kind of motherhood statements like, yes, like let's take care of our people.
Right.
Let's, give free health care, free education. And those things, again, sound good in theory, but they don't think about it, okay, personally. Let's think about if I want to create my own business, can I do that?
Right.
And then if I do that and actually make money, what happens to the money?
Sure.
And I think when you make it more personal, it's like, oh, well, I really don't like that. That doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel fair.
It doesn't. And I mean, the whole reason we're even doing this podcast is, we want to be more self-aware and self-mastered, and we want to share what this experience of self-awareness and mastery looks like with others. And what does communism and dictatorship and socialism do to people in the long run? How does it affect their freedom, their sense of individuation, their sovereignty? Like I said earlier, how can you thrive in that kind of environment? I'd like somebody to show me how.
Yeah.
How you individually thrive. And I'd like to go deeper in this moment and really talk about personal freedom.
Yeah.
If I really want to be my own greatness, my own authority, sovereign, first of all, why do we even want that? Why do I want to be great? Why do I want to be sovereign? Why do I want to be my own authority? Why?
Well, I want to control my destiny. I want to take personal responsibility and have the ability to create whatever I want and not be at the effect of everyone around me, especially the government.
Sure. And then do you want your peers and your family members and everybody else to be free and proud of themselves and the people around them be individuals? You're the best of you, I'm the best of me, right? But 100%. No, what happens is it becomes one unit.
Yeah.
And it's brutal for humanity.
Yeah.
It's really sad. I mean, when I went to Cuba, it was really nice. It was kind of like that movie, The Interview, about Kim Jong-un. And they had the fake grocery stores and all that kind of stuff. So Cuba, who doesn't want to go to Cuba and
I don't. It's too
walk
hot
the
down
streets?
there.
Besides the heat, we're in Florida, Wen.
I don't want to go anywhere hotter.
But, you walk the streets and all the old cars were there. It was really profound. It was beautiful, and the people, but it's there because it hadn't changed when I visited.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like set in time.
But more importantly, I had people selling me these beautiful handcrafted dolls, and they would just beg for a dollar bill. This is a while ago, but that was the last time I was there. Point being, it was sad. It was brutal.
Yeah.
It was really brutal to see the masses under
it breaks down
communist
your soul.
rule. Exactly.
Yeah.
So something that's coming up as you talk about Cuba for me is innovation.
Yeah.
So individuality is innovation. Individuality is the ability to express fully, right?
Yeah.
First of all, it's also, not to get too religious, but free will.
Absolutely.
First rule of God is free will,
100%.
right? So, but this individuation and innovation is why America, in 250 years, has become so powerful.
That's right.
So amazing.
That's right.
And, one of our great mentors said this, I'm going to paraphrase it. After World War I and World War II, we were the first real world leader that didn't say, you know what, we're gonna keep your country.
No doubt.
Thanks. Thanks, Japan, you're ours now. Thanks, Germany, you're ours. No, that's not what happened.
Yep.
And why is that? Because we as a country believe in freedom so much, individuality so much that we're willing. Now, everything has two sides, right? So group agreement, okay, I get it. It's useful when we align, right? But there is a real stark difference between individuality and this group think that you're talking about, right? And you can make an argument either side, but the reality is we're in the United States of America. I was looking at the world population, 8 billion people. We're 4% of it or something, right? But why does everybody want to be here?
Yeah, for freedom.
For freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sean
Bottom
Hannity
line.
says, I'm paraphrasing as well, never has there been a nation with so much power that abused it so little.
Exactly.
Right?
Perfect. Yeah.
So then why is there this movement? Why are 200,000 people voting for a Democrat socialist? Why are people, protesting for let's be communist? What's behind it?
Well, part of it, I'm just going to say, I'm laughing because part of it is that's what we are. You get the right to do that.
Yeah.
You actually have the right to do that. And you're not going to be thrown into a private jail. You're not going to be tortured. You have a right to do that. Awesome. I think the reason we're bringing this up from awareness is, hey, that's a pretty slippery slope, and everyone needs to be very clear about that, right?
Sounds sweet in the beginning, like a nice little candy getting handed to you.
Right.
Here, come get some free meals. You never have to do anything for it. Groceries are free, no problem.
100%.
All of it sounds really
Real
sweet.
good.
It's a sweet deal, but what happens? Is anything free? What happens?
Nothing
is this
is free.
like Satan handing me a candy, or what are we doing here, right?
So,
yeah.
to answer your question directly, if you think about technology and innovation over time, in the 1950s, things were pretty stuck. Okay? So I'm just going to use this from a business example. In the 1950s, one fax, you get one, I don't even know if you had a fax machine, you get like one letter out and you're like a pretty successful business guy, right? 1970s, maybe it's a fax. But if everyone think about this for yourself, technology has moved rapidly and quickly. So we've seen, like, the Vietnam War was a protest against what was happening. We've always seen uprising, and that's great. You need it.
Yep.
Because we can't just be just a war machine, but we can't also be like tree hugging, peace, love, and that's it. You got peace through strength. But I think why are we seeing it now? Because it's just a response to people's everyday living. And I get it, but there's a bigger picture that you have to see.
Yeah.
And I think it really, if you look at the protests of the 70s, I don't think anyone was really saying, let's blow up democracy and capitalism. Maybe there were some people doing that, but not quite as loudly as I hear it today.
Definitely.
So I think that's the reason I'm so passionate about this particular issue is that, when you tell me you don't love America anymore, I'm literally like, you should leave.
Yeah.
Like, I see you later. If you don't love it, you got to love all of it, which is all of these sides of it. And that includes me too, right? Like, it includes me being very clear. It's cool you voted that way. That's you had that choice.
Yep.
And I'm happy you did that. And let's have a conversation about it.
For sure.
What does that mean?
Right. Well, that's where the breakdown begins, right? It's like, let's have the conversation where most, and I found myself in this bucket, sometimes where I'm passionate about something and then, well, why? And I'm like, have I really explored why I'm so passionate about it?
Yeah.
So I can see, why it happens, but I feel like we are discussing some pretty big topics that people really should be asking why. Why am I for this?
Yeah, and if we're talking about human consciousness when it comes to patterns and the deeper reason, I would say, behind this outcome we're talking about, I would say there's a disdain for daddy, a disdain for the masculine that is progressively accelerated. Increasingly accelerated. I don't know how many times I can say that over the last little while. And it's basically like, I don't like the masculine. I don't want to be told to do what to do. I don't want to be my own authority. I could go on this. And
I think we should dig deeper into what does that actually mean to disdain daddy, disdain the masculine.
Yeah. So, even going up to somebody and speaking about this topic and having this conversation is like, at some level, dad's in your face telling you what to do and yelling at you because it's such a masculine thing to talk about.
Yeah.
What are we saying? Authority is masculine, sovereignty is masculine, capitalism is masculine, America is masculine.
Right.
All of these things that we're talking about is masculine forward. Why is it important for the masculine to be the forward and leading force? If we're talking about consciousness, masculine is the leading force and the feminine is right here. Now, we're not saying masculine is more powerful and feminine is less powerful. What we're saying is it's like an inchworm. It just happens to be that the masculine leads and the feminine supports.
Right.
Look at what the feminine means, right? Love, appreciation, resilience, support, care,
maintaining,
maintenance, nurturing. Masculine is vision, drive, authority,
maverick.
Maverick, thank you. Direction.
Yeah.
Even ferocity, ruthlessness, leadership. So doesn't it make sense that we lead with the masculine and support with the feminine? But what happens if you lead? Look at countries, nations, civilizations that led primarily with their feminine.
Yeah.
What happened to them? And why?
Yeah, they disintegrated or they became like way less powerful.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
because they weren't leading with sometimes what needs to be done, but may not feel good to do it.
For sure.
Exactly.
Yep.
And let's be clear, we're not saying male, female.
Right.
Masculine, feminine.
Definitely.
We all have it. It has nothing to do with male, female.
Definitely.
Correct. And I've been finding that because I've been having this conversation recently.
Yeah.
There was a friend of mine and we had a conversation just about relationships. And I was, it got in her face a little bit. And she said to me, well, that's men and that's their ego and this is how men do it. And then it was like, I want a relationship. And I was like, you hate the masculine. How are you going to create a relationship? What do you mean I hate the masculine? I was like, hey, just look at this for a second. I'm not saying you hate men.
Right.
I'm saying you must understand you have both feminine and masculine. And if you're not clear about yourself, I mean, you can't create that, especially when you are resisting it so much.
For sure.
You know? And look, as a young feminist myself, right? When I was younger, I was like, I'm a feminist, ERA, let's go, let's go. And I still consider myself very pro-woman, but I wouldn't put myself in a feminist camp anymore because it is literally anti-masculine.
Yeah. Sure.
And if you want to wonder why that movement hasn't moved much more, it's because feminine's leading that.
Right.
As simple as it is.
I mean, let's go a little further. Have you seen like Playboy and Sports Illustrated? I mean, with feminine leadership?
Oh, sure.
I mean, what are you doing, guys? Like, let the dudes have their stuff at some level, right? Like, well, I say at some level, meaning whatever we feel is great for us, whatever man wants to watch or see, whatever he wants to do, but led by the feminine. Like, I turned the Playboy channel on, yes, I did. And it's like,
let's include
feminine
everyone.
and romantic and sweet, and let's have a little chat before we get into it. It's like, hey, if we keep doing this, like I just felt like the whole thing hit my body. Like it's like, if we keep doing this, what happens to our men?
Yeah.
If they can't be men, what happens to them? If we want to feminize everything, what happens to them, our own men, our sons, right? Our society? What happens to, look at Cleopatra. What a beast. That woman knew multiple languages. She could, run the wars and her army, financial stuff, economics for her country. She could do all sorts of great things. But what took everything down? She didn't have authority when she needed it over her own emotion.
Yep.
Feminine is emotion, intellect is masculine, again, not male, female. But it's like, what happens if you don't take command of your emotion? And you run everything, like you were saying earlier, by your emotions. We should take care of everything. Everybody should get this for free. This poor person doesn't know how to do it. And we should just give them what they need and forget about them learning what it would take to grow.
Or just kindling that ambition, that passion. It's like that saying, when you have to, you will.
That's right.
Like when your back's up against the wall, like all kinds of new traits come out because you're willing to take it a step further. I mean, as a business owner, I lead with my masculine. I have to be very commanding. I have to be decisive. I'm not wishy-washy. I sometimes have to fire people. I have to do things that, aren't popular, but that's what's required to have a profitable business so I can pay my team.
Definitely.
So if all of a sudden I was like, well, guys, we can be fair. We can, well, why don't we not charge customers this month? Let's be nice.
But give them some freebies.
Yeah, why don't we take part of your salary and, I don't think
right, there we go.
I don't think they'd like that very much.
They would like that very much. I think the thing that's the hot button for people is they hear this kind of conversation, especially if they're getting a tidbit, and they hear masculine, then feminine, and they just lose their minds. Like, you go crazy,
For sure.
But that's the whole point of this podcast is like, hey guys, it's not, for all the people who go crazy, like you probably have a Dow symbol somewhere in your house, right? The Dow symbol. So there's black and there's white, and there's a white dot in the black and a black dot in the white, and it's whole and complete. And it's a balance of both.
Yeah.
And that's what a really great human being needs, is a balance of both. But also to be clear and aware of that balance. And if you think feminine is better than the masculine or masculine is better than the feminine, right there's your starting point. And like, hey, let me take a look at this conversation, right? Because one is not better than the other. But we do know that in society, we need the masculine to lead. And that's actually what this country stands for, it was a complete rebellion, right? We said sovereignty was the most important thing. Liberty, or what was that? What's a great quote? Oh my gosh, goodness.
Give me liberty
or give me death. I'm like, what's that quote? What's that quote?
Yeah.
Give me liberty or give me death. That's it. There we go.
Right.
But that's it, right? And that's
Don't tread on me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is not feminine. That is masculine. And then it brought everything together. So I just want to say that.
Do you mind not treading on me?
Yeah, sorry.
Please don't step on me. I'm a doormat. But
I got it.
Again, jokes aside, I look at my own culture ooh, you know, like what happened? There's so much beauty and riches, and there's so much culture, amazing things that we could talk about in the Indian culture.
Yeah.
And just not building their own masculine. Like a lot of people don't understand why I don't think it was about the British coming in and colonizing India. You know, like if you look in consciousness, why did India need that at some level? What have we created moving forward since then that has made the nation succeed because there has been a masculine influence on a very, very feminine culture? So much beauty and divinity in that culture, but what happened to a lot of it? It didn't have the masculine to lead it, so it became a cesspool at some level. And yes, I'm saying that about my own people.
Yeah.
You know, they have statues and carvings of people making love on their temples. Why is the Kama Sutra a topic?
Yeah.
This is because they knew the divine art of Tantra. They knew what it meant to really connect, to make love. There's so much divinity in the country. It's really stunning. But when you start to make it wrong and judge like a bunch of church ladies and you don't have the masculine to run the show, it went right down to the shitter. And now we've got a whole bunch of useless men sitting on the side of the streets doing whatever.
Right.
You know, and it's sad. It's growing in so many ways in the masculine way. Finally, because they're finally taking that on. And I do believe it's because the PM decided to align with Trump's ways and starting 2016, and things are starting to shift now, thankfully. So, anywho.
Nice. All right, let's kind of bring it to some accessibility for our audience in terms of how do you take this conversation? What do you do with it? What are we asking people to either think about or,
Yeah, so I think I would say to our audience, you should take this conversation and ask yourself, what are your own views?
Yeah.
Evaluate your own views. Don't take it for what we're saying. Really do a little research. I think picking up a history book, maybe learning a little bit about history would be a good thing. I did that during COVID. It was a great idea. And be open to the conversation. So if you find yourself, you know, if I am going to sit here and say, I can't talk to you because you're a Democratic Socialist, then I'm doing the opposite of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
So what I'm saying is have that conversation. And if you don't agree with anything we've said, please have the conversation with us.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking for. Have the conversation. Don't sit alone and suffer and think that you're right. Come back and talk to us.
I
Love it. What about for you? What do you?
Yeah, I feel like I would say go back and do the research on the other countries. You know, take a look at what's going on out there. Take a look at history. What happened to different civilizations? Why did they fall? You know, what happens in communist countries, countries that are run by dictators. Side note, Mamdani's parents were kicked out of Uganda because of an evil genocidal dictator. So, you know, and the whole agendas that are going on. Look a little deeper. I'm not talking about believing in conspiracy theories unless you feel in your heart you know what's right for you, right? But I'm really talking about look at deeper agendas. What has the agenda been? Why are we trying to shut people down? Why are we trying to make people weaker, smaller, codependent, and powerless?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say talk to some people from Venezuela, you know, talk to some people from Cuba. Luckily, we live in this melting pot where there's plenty of people from other nationalities who've come here proudly and love America. So talk to them. But also, you know, if you are passionate about something, great, but ask yourself why. And can you really articulate why, or have you just seen some influencer or, you know, grabbed onto a soundbite and all of a sudden you're touting that, and you really, if someone were to say, hey, tell me more, tell me why you think that's great, can you actually answer? And nothing wrong if you can't, but take a look, because I know when I've done that for myself, it's really either caused me to believe more passionately because I'm like, okay, now I can understand, or it's like, maybe there is another side and that other side isn't so bad. So I feel like there's always value in asking why.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
All right.
All right, great. Well, thanks for joining us. As always, we love hearing from you. Any comments, any feedback, and we are Real Aware Women, and thank you.